everyone. Welcome back to Intro to Tech Skills. We told you we would be right back for our next session. You can see we've got our trusty map on screen here. We are on day 2, diving deeper into some technical skills, some career skills. And Salman, I hear our next session is all about accessibility.
Exactly. So it's super important that when you're developing applications, we've learned different programming languages and how you can get started with creating things. Absolutely. It's super important that we include everyone because, hey, if I build an application that doesn't work for someone who needs to perhaps see things in certain environments and things, and they perhaps have poor vision, Absolutely. Then it's not inclusive for everyone. So if we include the 3%, we're also including the other 97%. Well, and so Rory and Henk are going to be taking you on a whole journey about how you can drive accessibility using AI services and dev tooling. I'm super excited for this session. I really love this. How about you, Gwen?
This is definitely one of my favorite ones in the lineup. And now let's pass it over. We'll welcome and hand off to Rory.
Thank you so much. I'm a Caucasian male. I've got brown hair, and I'm wearing a black shirt, and I'm wearing glasses. And I'm speaking to you from Johannesburg, South Africa. And I want to introduce you, first of all, to how to make the most of our Intro to Tech Skills that we have with our slide deck. And then I also want to introduce you to Henk, Henk Bowman, who's my partner in crime. Henk, introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited for this session today. So my name is Henk Bowman. I'm a cloud advocate at Microsoft, and I'm a light-skinned male with brown hair, glasses, and today I'm also wearing black. Like we matched our wardrobes today, right? And I'm speaking to you from the Netherlands, not from Amsterdam.
It's very close to South Africa. No, it's actually not. I've flown there. It's about 8,000 miles, and it's winter here. So if I do shiver, it's because my aircon is not switched on. So we've got a lot to show you today, and we're going to show you how to achieve accessibility with dev tooling and AI services. Lots of demos, lots of hands-on. So we're going to get started right now. So first, let's talk about the agenda. So we're going to do an introduction. We're going to tell you, and we're going to give you some definitions of what is accessibility and what isn't. We're going to look at some tools that are available right now you can get started with. And Henk has a really nerdy demo that he's shown me a few times on how AI can help with accessibility. And then I'm going to take over and do a really great demo on how you can build an accessible website using free and open source tools. And lastly, we're going to do 5 things you can do right now. And Henk is going to ask me some questions. I'm going to give some answers. And we are going to round off with some call to actions. So a little bit about me. I am 42, so I did have a midlife crisis. I think I'm still in it, actually. And as part of my midlife crisis, I bought myself a BMW. That is like the worst thing to do in a midlife crisis, right? My wife is busy owning some fish, and she's started a hobby of fish owning, much better, and it's much easier. So as part of my midlife crisis, I bolted on my pedals. So I have dwarfism, achondroplasia, and I bolted on my pedals to my midlife crisis, and I made it accessible. So now I can reach my car, and it's accessible. And I get around. You can see here, here's me bolting on to, I'm lecturing at a university, and there's me trying to get coffee. Now I know what you're saying. There's some decaf there, but don't worry, I'm not going to drink decaf. That is pure poison. But I really try and make things work in my life. But my experience is that once you do that and you bolt on accessibility, you give birth to something called the Hydra. So what the Hydra is, it's a mythical creature that is birthed when you chop off one of its heads. So as software developers understand that, because when you fix a bug in production, then the bug isn't fixed properly, the Hydra comes out, the bug Hydra, and that head grows a new body and just starts a new life, though. And it's the same with accessibility. So if you don't fix accessibility, if you carry on bolting on, then the Hydra's birthed. So what is caused by that is because you don't understand the empathy bubble that the person using your software is going to experience. So as a result, you give birth to the Hydra by not actually understanding their experiences, because accessibility is a personal experience. Now, you can try to fix those problems, but like we see here, what you're experiencing is someone is going to try to fix that, and the Hydra right at the end of that ramp is going to give birth, and it's going to be very hard to fix those problems, like software in production, once the Hydra is given birth. So now that we understand the reason behind why we're doing this talk, to slay the Hydra, we also need to explain some common concepts. So what is accessibility? Now, accessibility is the design of products, services, and environments so that everyone, including people with disabilities, can experience them. It's not for designing for the 3% of people or 5% or 50%. It's designing for everyone. Now, once you do that and you have that mindset, wait a second, I'm not going to give birth to the Hydra and do an after the fact with that bolt on, then you start to actually look at, wait, I can be compliant, and also I can increase my productivity, and then you start to innovate. By looking at where you don't and lap over with your clientele and your customers, you look at ways to actually create your products into more innovative mechanisms to be accessible. And you also acknowledge that you don't really want to design for disability. Now, disability is not a personal health condition. You don't go to the doctor and you don't say, listen, I am not feeling well. And the doctor says, no, I think you have the disabilities. The only time that you have disability is when you have a mismatched human interaction. As part of my midlife crisis, I bought one of those BMI scales. I put my height, 4'1", 120 centimeters. My weight at the time, 65 kilos. Don't worry, I'm 50 kilos now. The midlife crisis did actually work. And I jumped on the BMI scale and they did a little bit of a calculation, and it called me terrible names, like names that, like, I don't even know how do you have a design process where, you go and you sit around a room and go, I think that the scale should call him that. You just don't. And I felt disabled because I didn't feel that it was meeting my accessible needs. So as a result, it's one of the main reasons why I wanted to talk through this process and make sure that I could create accessible software. So one of the ways that you can create accessible software is with tools. And we have so many tools at Microsoft. It's one of our cornerstones of being a Microsoft staff members to be diverse and inclusive. And we have the accessibility checker. You can just go into a Microsoft Office 365 document, switch it on, and it tells you what is accessible and helps you fix that. We also have accessible templates where you can auto-generate your alt text for your images. We've got captions for audios that Henk is going to do a great demo on how to generate those. And you can also do digital ink, so handwriting, and become accessible with documents. We have ways to create accessible meetings. So you can do live captions and live translations in 28 different languages. You can bring a human in to provide real-time captioning. And you can also auto-generate and make searchable meeting transcripts built in with Microsoft Teams. You want to do remote communication with Teams, you can also create your more accessible connection and use visual clues. So here's an ASL interpreter in this, and with live captionings. And you can use emojis, GIFs, and stickers, and also Immersive Reader, which we're going to do a live demo with a little bit later. So one of the things that Henk is going to go through is the transcripts with AI technology, and you can go through to the video indexer, and you can do searchable transcripts. You can see this demo here, and it will give you the ability to do those live translations right there in your Microsoft Office 365. So that's the introduction, and I want to hand over to Henk, who's going to share his screen, and we're going to go through AI.
Thank you so much, Rory, for that introduction into accessibility. I'm very happy to talk to you about how AI can be a little bit of help to make things more accessible. So if we look at AI for accessibility, it can help in very in many ways. So employment is focused on using AI to help people develop additional skills in the workplace and evolve the culture around being hired. Daily life is focused on building modern solutions for people with disabilities by making software and devices smarter, more contextual relevant, and improve daily life. And communication and connection is focused on modernizing communication options for people regardless of how they listen, speak, or write. But today, I want to talk about how AI can help make sense of the world around you by using vision, speech, and language. So vision is there to make your application see, speech is there to make your application talk and listen, and language is there to help you understand what is being spoken. So, and to get started with a little bit of background where all these AI services fell into the Microsoft AI portfolio, I have this one slide where I'm going to talk a little bit about the AI platform and what is built on which kind of services. So there are two main ways or two kind of audiences for AI. So we have AI services for our business users and citizen developers, and we have AI services for our developers and data scientists. So our machine learning platform, Azure Machine Learning, is there. You can use that to build your own models, implement ML ops, and take care of the complete machine learning lifecycle. Then we have AI services. They are called cognitive services, and they are divided into 4 regions: vision, speech, language, and decision. So these services, these cognitive services are APIs. So you can send data to those APIs and you will get a response back. So for instance, I will send an image to the Vision API and it will tell me what is on the image. Then there are Azure AI scenario-based services like bot service, cognitive search, form recognizer, and video analyzer, and metrics advisor. These are services that use the underlying cognitive services, like they use vision, speech, language, and decision, and there is a nicely interface built on top of that. Then within the Power Platform and the Microsoft 365 applications, we use all these services combined to, for instance, generate captions in PowerPoint for you. So let's go to some demos where I'm going to show you how you can use these AI services. So here I am, I'm in my Codespace. So I have a GitHub repository you can later on also see, and where you can go to afterwards and you can redo these demos at home. So I'm going to show you in this demo how you can make sense of the world through vision. I'm in a GitHub Codespace. Rory, maybe you can give a small introduction what a GitHub Codespace is.
A Codespace is the development environment that allows you to have your home away from home, and it replicates your Visual Studio Code environment with the ability to introduce extensions that allow you to code just like you would on your normal laptop.
Excellent. So I'm here in this Codespace. I have a notebook here, and the cool thing about the notebook is I can put in code, I can hit the play button, and it will execute that code for me. And I've chosen today for the Python language. So I'll start with importing some libraries. I'm using the Computer Vision SDK, the Face API, Face SDK, and the Python SDK. All our cognitive services come with SDKs in multiple languages. We have them in .NET, in Java, and in Python, but you can also do the raw REST calls. So I'll start with logging into my Azure subscription. I've already done that. And then the next thing I have to do is create a resource group. I've created a resource group, and this resource group in Azure is kind of a bucket where you can put all your Azure resources in. The next thing I need to do is create a cognitive service account. if I create a cognitive services account, I will get a key. And with that key, I can call the API all the time. So there are a lot of different types of cognitive services around. We have an anomaly detection, we have face recognition, custom vision, but there is also a cognitive service kind of service, a kind. And that is what we're going to use. That is kind of, you have one key to rule them all. So the next thing I'm going to do is to create a cognitive services account and ask for the key. I'm writing that key in a TXT file so you all don't see it. And then I'm going to show the endpoint. And then it is going to see the endpoint. So here we have all the different kinds. We have here the endpoint, and here we have the key.txt. I'm going to load in the results from the key.txt in the subscription key, and that is what I'm going to use during the demo. So the next thing I'm going to do is create a computer vision client. So now I've created a lot of resources, but what are we going to do with these resources? We're going to take a look at an image so it can describe what is on this image. So here we have beautiful Amsterdam. We see some bicycles, we see some trees, but let's see what a computer vision API can make out of that. So one cool thing what the computer vision API can do is it can describe what is on the image. And that is exactly the same service that is being used in PowerPoint or in Word to create the alt text for your images. So here we see it came up with the descriptions, bicycles parked on a bridge. And that's kind of what it is, right, Rory?
Yeah, that looks like a beautiful set of bicycles.
Exactly. So we can take it a level deeper. We can actually can find out where the bicycles are on the image. And we are going to do that here. We're going to ask detect all the objects, and it will return us where these objects are. And here in this code, I'm just drawing the boxes on top of the image and put the tags on there. So here we see it has detected the bicycle, but it has also detected the wheels and even part of the wheels. It is seeing some trees, so it's kind of pretty accurate. So now you can really create like a sentence or tell people who have a visual impairment, like by taking a photo, hey, I'm seeing 2 trees, I'm seeing 3 bicycles, there are a lot of wheels. So you can really make sense of the world around you by vision. But that is not all. We now want to see who is on the image because we interact a lot with people, of course. So here's an image of my Tech Ally Summit crew. That is a tech conference about accessibility, which we run once a year. So this is the crew after the day was done. And let's see if we can identify and detect all these people using the Face API. I can use the same key for the computer vision as for the Face API here. So I will just send this image to the Face API, and it is going to tell me in this loop things about the faces it has found. Here we have one of my friends. She is smiling. Her age is around 37. It's a fair guess. There is no facial hair, and it's doing a classification of someone's emotion. And she is very happy. We were really happy that we made the end of that stream. So I hope everyone shows that it is happy. Here we have Roland. It is detecting that he has glasses on. Here's me. I'm the one that needed to shave. And I'm also having glasses. So it can detect like all different types of glasses. It can detect if you have reading glasses, sunglasses, and it can even detect if you're wearing swimming goggles. But yeah, now all these faces kind of have this ID here. And well, it is not being nice to being addressed with, hey, 874E0C11, dash. So what we can do is we can train this API to actually name and identify these people in this image. So for that, we need to have a training data set, a labeled data set. So I went to all their LinkedIn profiles and grabbed their profile pictures. And what I did is I gave them actually the names of the file name is the name of the person. So I'm going to use that to create the face detection. So the first thing I need to do is to create a face group. The face group holds your group of people that you want to identify. So I can have my Tech Ally group, I can have my Build group, I can have my Microsoft friends. So I can all have them in different groups. The next thing I need to do is to add all these people to the face group. So I start with adding a person, and then here is the person to the group, and then I'm starting to add face photos to the person. So you can have multiple faces per person. So here we have it, I've added them. So now I need to train the group, and that will take like 10 seconds. So we have trained the group. So now we can actually identify and name the people we find on that image. So we'll do that here. We have found my friends, and here we see I have Reita, Sjoukje, here am I, and Roland. We have all names, and now we know exactly where they are in the picture. But that is not all. We can do so much more with all these APIs, because there are around 40, 50 APIs at the moment. Every time there are new APIs, and especially during build, all new cool stuff is being released, hopefully. So here, one of the things that the computer vision API can do is reading text in images. It can do regular OCR, like from type text, but it can also read my handwriting. So I can just write a note, send it to the computer vision API, and it can read it and put it into readable text for me. So that is what we're going to do here. It extracted all the text. Accessibility empowers everyone. The more inclusive you are, the more innovative you can be. But yeah, now it is there in text. I think we kind of want to do a little bit more with the text, but I forgot to show you one thing. It also tells you where the text is in the document. It gives you all these coordinates, like from here is sentence 1, sentence 2, sentence 3, and it can also do that for actually all the individual words. And I've done it in this demo that I written nicely on the lines, but you don't really have to do that. It can like be one word can be upside down and it will still work. So here we have the text. So we have extracted the text. So now what we can do is we can send the text to a speech API endpoint. And what speech API can do, the speech APIs can do, is actually speak out the word. So we have English, we have an English language. So I'm taking an English voice. We're taking Libri, and we're taking a neural voice. So there are two types of voices. There are like kind of the old robot voices, but there are also now the new neural voices, and they sound really, really good. So let me generate.
Accessibility empowers everyone. The more inclusive you are, the more innovative you can be.
So that sounded really good, and I hope I shared my screen with audio so you could all hear it. And I see Rory's thumb. So that is going well. So this is in English. But yeah, what about people that actually don't speak English and want to read your note and your handwriting? We can use our translator API from that. That can translate from one language to, like, I think around 100 languages at the moment. I didn't look up the exact number, but it are a lot. So in this API has such as an easy to use interface that there is not even an SDK. You just post some content, some JSON to the endpoint, and you will get your translated text back. So here's the endpoint. I'm using the same subscription key, and I'm sending, where is the text? The text in the body. Here I'm saying translated from English to Dutch, Arabic, and Afrikaans. So that also Roy can hear it in his native language down in South Africa. So let's see if that works. So I'm going to send it, and it has posted already. And here we have the result. In Dutch, it is a perfect translation. In Arabic, I've been told it is a good translation. And yeah, this is up for you, Rory, to judge if it is a.
That is the right translation.
Perfect. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to take that translated text, take a South African voice, Adri, and we're going to speak it out.
Toeganklikheid bemagtig almal. Hoe meer inklusief jy is, hoe meer innoverend kan jy wees.
And now we have, from handwriting on a piece of paper, translated and spoken out in, I think, 50 lines of code. So I want to show you like one thing where everything comes together. So I was talking about the applied AI services and the cognitive services. So now we have seen all these raw APIs you can use and build software on top of. And that is exactly what we did with Azure Video Indexer. So Azure Video Indexer is a service in Azure that indexes your videos. So you upload your videos and it is going to extract insights out of it. I'm going to pause it. I'm going to mute it. So here we have a video about inclusive and accessible events. And I've uploaded to the video indexer and it extracted everything there is to know about this video indexer by looking at the frames. So the first thing it does, it extracted all the people that were in that video. So here we have Adam, who's running the build in the UK at the moment. Here we have Rory, and here we have Donna. It recognized automatically Donna because there is a celebrity. There is celebrity recognition available here. So Donna is here. Tells how much of percentage of the video there is. It actually shows you a biography, and you can find her on Bing. It's still, we're not famous enough yet, Rory, but we have to work on that. That would be really cool. But it also extracts all kind of topics out of it. It does audio effects, it gives some labels, named entities. When we talk about London, Johannesburg, here it extracted names, Susanna Daniels, and it automatically created different scenes for you. And here are the same shot keyframes. But one thing it can really do is automatically creates a transcript for you. So here we see a transcript. And what we can actually do is we can go to view and tell, hey, put all the people that are actually saying that there and the named entities that it has found, emotions, some scenes, some speakers. So speaker 1, speaker 2, and all those things you can do there. So I want to have the transcript here. But that transcript I can now automatically translate to Dutch and, for instance, also to Afrikaans. So I can here have Rory talking in English, subtitled in Afrikaans, with just a few clicks on the button. So these were the things I wanted to show you. Let me go back to this presentation, So all the demos you can find back on ak.ms-hank-build22. And I want to close off with one video where you can really see how everything comes together.
My take on life is that life is definitely there for the taking. What you put in is what you'll get out. Two things important to me in life are family and music. They both play a huge part in my life. Technology allows me to be my own one-man band. I try to be as independent as I can, and the way that I do that mostly is with low tech, which is a white cane, and high tech, which is a phone.
Seeing AI.
Seeing AI is one of the biggest deals in technology, I think, at the moment for visually impaired users. It's an app that you can read almost anything, anywhere with it.
Kilburn High Road. Fashion. Workspace. Mayonnaise.
It has a multitude of functions, and they all work together to produce something that you can use whenever you need it. It might even be considered to be a Swiss Army knife of apps. Of all the parts of Seeing AI, I really do think short text is the biggest of the game changers.
Northwest 6.
Because I've never seen anything like that in any other app before. And I like being in the back of cabs or in buses and pointing it out the window and seeing what I pass on the way to places.
Mobile phone NC 4000 services.
One of the greatest things about short text for me is that if there's no one else in the house, I can sort the post into who's who.
Mrs. K. Louis. Mrs. Kirsten Louis.
So I don't open my wife's post and she doesn't get cross with me. Package.
Yo, well, Andre.
My man Alex.
Good.
One fella.
Blessed.
£20.
That's really cool.
Currency is a very useful channel because sometimes it's very difficult to know what notes actually are. So with currency, I can detect that straight away.
£5.
Job done. 2025.
Well done.
Scene preview.
Scene is actually really cool. It's quite descriptive, really.
Processing. A store filled with lots of different types of fruit.
I think that's pretty amazing.
Twitterific.
In my view, one of the best parts of Seeing AI is the ability to read pictures from social media. Because so many times someone will send me a picture of something that I cannot understand. So I will share that picture to Seeing AI.
Scene. Probably a group of people sitting on a bench in a park.
And then I'll get a description of what it is.
Person. 8-year-old boy with black hair looking happy. 7-year-old girl with brown hair looking disgusted.
And it's changed how I can view social media. It feels like I can participate.
Like, reply.
Far more than I could before.
Thank you for sharing. Handwriting preview.
With Handwriting Channel, I was actually able to read a card from a family member last year. That's the first time I'd actually been able to do that without help.
Dear Dad.
Alice worked. Good. We can tell if Jake's been writing well, if the handwriting tab can recognize it. That's good proof, really.
We love you, Daddy. XXXXXX.
We've got lots of X's.
Yeah.
The effect of having Seeing AI to hand all the time is like having somebody who can see in your pocket.
34-year-old man with a beard wearing a hat looking happy.
Why not?
There is so much more that I can do now that I couldn't before. You've grown up.
I used to be nice.
I think Seeing AI really is a huge technological step down the road, and I hope that we can continue down a road like this for many years to come.
So I think this is really like one of the best examples you can have, and to see how AI and all these services can be implemented in a really useful application. So back to you, Rory, where we're going to talk about accessibility insights.
Thanks, Henk, for that really meaningful and emotional take on AI. You should see my screen here, and I want to introduce you to accessibilityinsights.io. And we've partnered with DQ Labs, and it's the main rules engine that people use even in Seeing AI to help people create accessible software. You can use Accessibility Insights on for web, so Chrome and Edge. You can use it for Windows apps. You can even use it for Android, and recently for CI/CD, Azure DevOps, and also for GitHub Actions. So I want to show you a demo that I've created. You can access this demo. I'm going to show you with Accessibility Insights action, the GitHub action, and it's forked off Microsoft/accessibility-insights.action. You can access all of that on aka.ms/accessibility-insights-action. So I'm going to show you this demo. So first of all, you're going to need to install Accessibility Insights. So you can go into the Chrome Web Store or the Edge Store, and you can go and install Accessibility Insights for web. So I've got it installed, and you'll see there that I've got a little cursor at the top there that I can click on. Now I'm going to use that GitHub project, and I'm going to open up one of the test pages that they have. And you'll see here, there's some links, there's an input radio, there's some images there, and this page is not accessible. And I can check whether it's accessible or not by going into the source if I wanted to and inspecting it, but I can also go into accessibility insights there, and I can switch on color checking, headings, tab stops, but I want to show you Fastpass. Now, Fastpass checks the website or your app and gives you in under 10 seconds a view of exactly what you need to know about is your website or app accessible. So I'm going to click on Fastpass. And let's go, oh, no, there's issues here. The alt image is wrong, the label's wrong here, failed, and it gives you a visual helper, and you can actually go into your page there and you can see visually what the problem is. And you can click through that and you can say, wow, that's the WCAG that it broke, the Web Center for Accessibility Guidelines rule. You can get some insights on how to fix that, and you can even file the issue straight to GitHub. Now that's great, but Rory, this sounds a little bit like a bolt-on. Like I have to do this manually every time. But I have the project that I've got, and I've forked it off here. So you can see there, Rory P Accessibility Insights Action, and I've got this project. And I'm now going to, let's go back into that, open it up in Visual Studio Code. And here's my HTML source. Now I've got this HTML source, and you'll see here that there's actually a linked page. Now, Accessibility Insights doesn't actually scan through all of the links. You need something like CI/CD. Now, in the linked page here, there's a little HTML section. Wait a second. That actually should have, there's a problem there. That should have a lang there. Lang equals to, and we'll do that English. There we go. Now I fixed that accessibility issue though. But how do I even check that? And it's easy because I actually have the Accessibility Insights action running on GitHub Action. It's going to scan for the Accessibility Insights, and it's going to upload the report artifacts and create a report for me with GitHub Actions. So I'm going to take this file and I'm going to go for Henk, because he's my partner in crime. I'm going to check it and I'm going to go and push it. Now this should have triggered you can see there, triggered the Accessibility Insights action. So if I go into my Chrome browser and I go back into the GitHub project, I can go into Actions here, and you'll see that there's my for Henk workflow here, and I can click through it, and it's triggering the Accessibility Insights action. And if I go into my build, it's going to set up the job, scan for Accessibility Insights action here, and then it's going to upload the report of that, the Accessibility Insights. Now understand, this is actually going into my linked pages. So it's got the index.html, which we checked that isn't accessible, and it's going to go through each linked page and each hyperlink and tell me exactly what the issues are and give me a report both on my Accessibility Insights action view, and also it's going to give me a downloadable report that I can access. There, it's finished. I can go into accessibility checks. It's going to say, wait a second. Oh wow, yeah, the lang was fixed. I did fix the lang, and the labels are incorrect. I can go back and check fix that, and the alt images aren't actually done correctly. And if I wanted to, I can go into more details into the Accessibility Insights action, and then I can see that there's an artifact. Or down there, I can actually go in and access the reports, so artifacts, accessibility reports, and download those reports for me and email them if necessary. And every time I do a push or pull with this project, it will go in and scan my entire website for me or my app and give me a view for what is accessible. So that's the one thing I wanted to show you, how you could use Accessibility Insights to really go and test and learn how to make your apps and websites accessible. And second is reading comprehension. Henk did an incredible demo where they showed reading comprehension. And I want to show you my demo so I don't feel left out. And this is Immersive Reader. So I've got a little web page here, and it says Immersive Reader is a tool that implements proven technologies. I just want to share, I think I did share my screen with sound. I'm just going to share it again very quickly to make sure that I did with sound, because I want to show you this in Dutch for Henk. So I'm going to stop my screen there. I'm going to share it. I'm going to include computer sound there and go back to that Immersive Reader. And Henk should actually be very excited. And now I've got a little JavaScript button here. all it's doing is calling a cognitive services, and I went in and costed it today. It's 7 cents for the year that I've been doing this demo for Immersive Reader. Now I'm going to click on Immersive Reader, and it's going to take all the text that I've got here, and it should actually go in and give me an immersive experience for that. So first of all, I can go in and let me just make sure the font is right, and I can go in and click each word there. And if I wanted to, I can get the visual, or let's just go here, Readers Emerging Proven Technologies tool. There we go, tool. And I can get the visual representation, the picture of that tool, and I can hear tool. Okay, so that's the one thing. So the other thing is I can actually go and change the font size and also the grammar. So I can go syllables, nouns, verbs, and I can actually go line focus if you have a neurodiversity. And also I'm going to change this to a language. And I know that you did do Afrikaans, but here is the actual document translated into Dutch for you, Henk. And
awesome.
Immersive Reader is een tool die beproefde technieken implementeert om het begrijpend lezen te verbeteren voor opkomende.
It sounds a little bit like Afrikaans. I must give it that. But that's with, and it cost me 7 US cents for the entire year that I've been actually running this process with Azure Cognitive Services. You can pop this onto any of your websites that you want to use. So let's go back into our slide deck. So that's the Immersive Reader that we've demoed. It can do language, translation, pronunciation, syllables, and pictures. And you can access that demo into akas.ms/immersive reader. Now we're going on to the tips, the final little call to action, and to that. So tip number 1, I'm going to hand it over to Henk, who's going to read out and explain these tips.
Cool. Yeah, almost at the end of our session, and we don't want to leave you without some call to actions. So the first thing, when you start building software, please ask yourself always, who am I building this for? And who am I building this with? So bring people with visual impairments to the design phase of your application. Tip number 2, who can experience this? I'm building this crazy piece of software, but can someone use it with limited mobility? Someone who is blind, someone who is deaf? Who can experience what you're building? And think about adding alt text. Think about captions, transcripts, recording, accessibility check I already just showed. Tip number 3. Who am I unintentionally excluding? Please make sure everyone has a way to participate in what you're building. Tip number 4. Are accessible features and accommodations available to everyone? And not just the one who kind of asks, you pick up your phone and you ask, hey, can I have the accessible version of this website, please? No, make sure that it is there, that it is on. Don't hide them. And the final tip, ask people who use your website, who use your software about feedback. And then learn from that feedback and make your product better and iterate. So the more inclusive you are, the more innovative you can be. So back to our lovely hosts.
Thank you so much, Rory and Henk. That was such an amazing session. I've learned so much and didn't know that you could see images with Immersive Reader too. That is quite incredible, right, Gwen?
Absolutely. I will make sure to grab those tips that you mentioned and use them to better my projects as well. Everyone, be sure to check out the GitHub repo. We'll have all these resources that Rory and Henk have provided for us. That is it for this session. Team, thank you so much. There's so much more here at Intro to Tech Skills, so stay tuned. We'll be right back with you, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.